February 7th, 1979, an old man who went by the name Wolfgang Gerhard was at a quiet beach in the small town of Bertioga in the state of São Paulo, Brazil. His friends encouraged him to go for a swim, but at first he hesitated. He didn't really like public places. Still, after a bit of convincing, he said, "Oh, why not?" And off he went. The water felt good, peaceful, but suddenly something was wrong. He couldn't move his left arm, then his left leg. Panic set in. He tried to swim back to the shore, but his body just wasn't responding. He was drowning. He tried to call for help, but the words were stuck. When his friends pulled him out of the water, they even tried CPR, but it was too late. The man was dead. His friends wanted to cremate his body quickly, but because they couldn't get permission from his family back in Germany, they did something else instead. They buried him the very next day. And that could have been the end of the story. But 6 years later, the Brazilian Federal Police got a phone call that would change everything. And if you're enjoying this video so far, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and share. Now, let's go back to our story. The caller was from Germany, and what he said shocked the investigators in Brazil. The man buried in Bertioga 6 years ago, that wasn't Wolfgang Gerhard. That was Joseph Mengele. Now, Joseph Mengele, also known as the Angel of Death, was one of the most infamous Nazi doctors of World War II. Mengele earned his medical degree in Germany a little bit before the war started, but he violated his Hippocratic oath of primum non nocere, or first do no harm. At the Auschwitz concentration camp, he became known as the Angel of Death, getting prisoners arriving on trains and deciding with a single gesture of his hand whether they would be sent for forced labor or directly to the crematorium. Left meant death, right meant imprisonment. He performed brutal experiments, amputating limbs and trying to transplant them between prisoners. He conducted genetic experiments, and especially on twins, and if one twin died, he would kill the other for comparison.
Mengele came, and he decided to send me to the left and Miriam, my twin, to the right, which meant I was supposed to go to the crematorium. My sister, my elder sister, Hannah, when she realized that, she bent down on her knees. But she begged, she said, since we were twins and we have never been departed till now, she begs him to leave us together. And when Mengele heard that we were twins, and I had already been gone towards the crematorium, and I walked, and I got quite close to the crematorium. I could see the fire coming out through the chimneys. I could even feel the burnt flesh. Only then I began to realize that I am probably going to that place. But all of a sudden came an SS man and pulled me out of the line and brought me back to Mengele.
After the war, he fled to Italy, Argentina, Paraguay, and finally to Brazil in 1960. In Brazil, Mengele had help from Nazi sympathizers, especially a man called Wolfgang Gerhard. Initially, Mengele worked as a handyman on a farm, but soon the owner became suspicious. He was too well spoken. He listened to classical music. He read constantly. He didn't quite fit the profile of a poor farm worker in Brazil. One day, the lady showed him a newspaper photo of Joseph Mengele, and she asked, "Is this you?" He denied at first, but a few days later he admitted, and then he fled again. Later, he took a new identity as Uncle Peter, a friendly old man known for helping children and fixing their toys. In 1971, when Gerhard returned to Europe, Mengele literally took his identity. He took his ID card and placed his own photo over Gerhard's. Now let's go back to that phone call. After the anonymous tip, Dr. Munhoz, a Brazilian physician, led a team of forensic experts from Brazil, the US, and Germany. They exhumed Gerhard's graves. The coffin had disintegrated. What had remained were 16 bags of dirt mixed with bones, like a morbid jigsaw puzzle. Bit by bit, they began reconstructing the skeleton. Now remember, there was no DNA back then. Based on the bone length, they estimated his height, and it matched SS records of Joseph Mengele. They cut his femur, and a cross-section showed age markers that were consistent with Mengele's age at the time of the death. They also compared skull pictures with known photos of Mengele, and the match was very strong. Dental records were essential. Mengele had a distinctive gap between his front teeth, and it matched perfectly. Also, an old hip, shoulder, and clavicle fractures documented during Mengele's life were there at those bones. All the signs pointed to one conclusion. The man buried in Bertioga was very likely Joseph Mengele. But many people did not believe that. Until in 1992, DNA technology was finally advanced enough to run some tests, and Mengele was compared to his son DNA, and there was a match. Mengele's family in Germany refused to claim his bones, so they stayed at the forensic department at the University of São Paulo, where medical students were studying them until 2021. Now, if you're curious about how the German police knew about the body, well, after Mengele's death, a friend of his, Hans Sedelmeier, who used to send him money, received a letter from Brazil confirming his death. He told his wife to burn the letter, which she did, but not before making a copy. Years later, Sedelmeier got drunk at a bar, and when someone mentioned Mengele, he let it slip. "Oh, don't worry about him anymore. He died in Brazil years ago. He's not my problem anymore." So investigators went to his house and they found the letter, which revealed that Joseph Mengele had died in Brazil under the new identity of Wolfgang Gerhardt. Well, thank you for watching, and if you find this story interesting, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in your comment what other historical mysteries you would like to explore. See you at your next appointment.